What's up, everybody? Mike here, and in this Dragon Age the Veilguard video, we're going to be talking about the 22 minutes of gameplay that was shown recently on the IGN channel with commentary from the developers. Sort of walked us through some of the features of the game, right? In this video, I want to talk about what those are I learned from that video and just give you an update on things about the game. Something to note is that the footage shown off seems to be from the middle of the game and not the beginning. So the first thing we are taking a look at is the lighthouse, which has a lot of detail, and this location is mentioned to be your base of operations for the Veilguards, and it is located inside the Fade. In this place, you can set your gear and your inventory, play around with your characters, etc., before heading out to explore the game world. And if you've played any Dragon Age in any form, you will know this is to be expected. Basically, every Dragon Age game has had an area that is your home base, and you can upgrade it, talk to NPCs there, and your companions. This looks to be that for this game. Then the next location shown is called the Crossroads, and this is a key location that serves as the main waypoint between traveling between different areas in the game. It seems like you will be able to fast travel to areas you've already visited, so you won't have to go through the crossroads every time, but there's a fast travel in the game that's handled from this area. So moving on to some of the characters we see in this game. You can see here that Rook is a Qunari, and you can customize your own Rook and choose your own race. So you don't have to be a Qunari. You can honestly just make your Rook however you want within the game. And before moving on to more characters, you will notice quest markers will be visible on both the minimap and the overworld, making this easier to find the location you are trying to get to. If you're someone who does not like using the minimap or bad at reading the minimap, then this will be a huge help to you by seeing it on the overworld. So from there, we get a quest that triggers a cutscene where you meet Davrin and a griffin named Asan. And yes, you can pet Asan, which clearly is the most important feature depending on who you ask. I admit the voice acting is really good here, but I could not help but notice the lip syncing is off, and hopefully it gets fixed before launch or in a day one patch. The devs also mentioned that certain characters appreciate different dialogue approaches, which most likely ties to the relationship system. If you played Dragon Age before, this is pretty standard, but we do see in the action Davrin responds positively to a direct dialogue choice, which means that even direct dialogue can have a positive effect on characters. It is also helpful that each dialogue option comes with its own icon to show its tone. Direct dialogue is shown with a guy who has crossed arms, while other tones include a thumbs up for friendliness, a head with a question mark for confusion, and branching arrows, which could mean this dialogue option opens up with more dialogue choices, but I'm not entirely sure. Moving on from there, it seems players will get a pet companion during exploration, but it's unclear if you can get and choose from multiple pets. There might just be one, but we don't really know. Traveling to new areas is straightforward. For example, you ride a floating boat to your destination in one case. You won't be able to walk from point A to point B to get to different towns since this is not an open world game. From there, we head into combat, and you've got two companions. This shouldn't be new to you if you saw earlier gameplay. And combat does look fluid and fun in my opinion. The gameplay footage shows off a mage, and dodging and positioning is crucial when enemies swarm you because you're a mage. Otherwise, you will just get overwhelmed quickly. Selecting skills pauses the action so you can survey the battlefield, but it also reveals enemies' weaknesses and their resistances. You're going to want to use it a lot of times just for that, but I can see this being many folks' favorite feature because many appreciate and love turn-based games, myself included. I love being able to assess the situation while in mid-fight to make adjustments on the fly when needed. Not saying I can't do this in other RPGs like Souls games, for example, but it's nice to pause and collect my thoughts sometimes. My favorite game of this year allows me to do this amazingly, which is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So when you can freeze time in a game, you can make a strategic decision to plan your next move. This also makes finding and figuring out enemy weaknesses easier, as you don't have to trial and error it out and possibly waste resources, character abilities, etc. Another thing is you can initiate skill combos with your companions, which is similar to Dragon Age Inquisition and Mass Effect. The game will show you which skills work well together so you can get an idea of which ones will be best to use with your companions. This feature adds a nice level of strategy and allows you to customize your playstyle. Whether you like to be in enemies' faces like me and just wreck them, or prefer to hang back doing ranged attacks while your companion is getting close to do damage, these things are doable in Dragon Age Veilguard. I look forward to seeing more on that. After the combat, we arrive at a settlement which seems to be one of the multiple hubs from Dragon Age, the Veilguard, where you buy and sell equipment, pick up quests, talk to NPCs, learn about the game world. If you play Dragon Age, this should not be a big surprise. Something I noticed is you can upgrade shops, and when you do this, their inventory increases or changes, which is a nice touch. So this will be another thing to focus on while playing, so you can get better equipment, etc. I'm guessing. The devs emphasize that side quests are worth your time, even if you are a main story focused player. Side quests will be narratively relevant to the main story in the game, meaning that it may not have a huge impact towards the main story, but it's possible they could give you backstory, background on locations, events, or characters that maybe help you understand the main plotline better. We then jump into another combat segment, and this time it's enemies who drop from the ceiling and explode, which is definitely an action RPG classic. It seems we almost always fight these kind of enemies in narrow corridors too. In another area, I noticed the companion AI is actually reliable in combat, which is surprising even in this day and age of gaming. Healing spells are back as well, and you can ask your companions to heal you quickly. The devs mentioned that companions AI is based on their in-game personalities, which is reflected in their skills, including healing. This is very interesting to me because not only will, it matter as far as how your companions act outside of combat, but this influences how they perform in combat as well. I think this makes this game more immersive and causes players to really think about how to treat their companions outside of combat. I also like how enemies position themselves in combat to be aggressive and make us, the players, be more careful about where we move, dodge, and more to figure out the best strategy that works for us. I don't want dumb and lazy enemy AI. The devs emphasize party setup is entirely up to you. If you want to go all mages, all rogues, or even all warriors, you can do this and be fine. However, mixing classes also offers good synergies. During combat, there are these red bulging circular objects on the ground called blight boils that need to be destroyed to stop enemy spawns. It adds a mini objective during fights that keeps things interesting, but I also can see this being kind of annoying depending on how much this is used throughout the game. I hope this is barely used in the game, honestly, as it could become very tedious to some and simply not fun to engage in. Another cool thing is the game gives you the option to revive on the spot when you die, which helps avoid losing progress, especially after a tough battle. But of course, this will have limited uses, so it's not like an OP feature, basically. My final thoughts on this so far, with leading up to Dragon Age, the Veilguard coming out soon here, October 31st, is that this is still probably like a mixed bag. I know it's a bit mixed for me personally, just because I've talked about this before, where they are essentially giving us less in terms of what to do with our characters and our skill set and things like that, because we can only control, Rook. We cannot, we give commands to our allies commands, but we cannot switch to them and control them like we could in previous games. The, amount of skills we have in terms of actual active skills is less this time around as well. And the party system, going from 4 to 3. And yeah, so, don't get me wrong. It visually looks good to me. I'm not, complaining there about that. Limp syncing, definitely hope that gets fixed. And, and there's some other polish that probably needs to be done about the game, but combat looks really fun overall. I hope it's a lot of fun when actually playing it when it drops. So I have to wait and see how that goes. But, I still want this to do well. I want it to be fun. I want it to be a good game, regardless of any concerns I have. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below what your concerns are, guys. Or if you're all in, you're good to go. You already pre-ordered it, things like that. I definitely will be playing this on launch. I've already got it pre-ordered because I do want to cover this game for you guys to the best of my ability. And I just love RPGs. I've been playing through Dragon Age Origins lately, just trying to kind of prepare myself a bit. I don't know if I'll beat all the 3 previous games before this comes out, but I'm going to try. We'll see what happens with that. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like, as it helps a ton. Subscribe if you're new. My name's Mike. Thanks for watching.